All Over the Road New Orleans is brought to you by CoinTrader Inc. Mind your money, and recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Who makes it to the Final Four this time around? Who cuts down the nets?
This is Teddy the other Teddy. My granddaddy has the bestest podcast ever.
You are listening to the All Over the Road podcast from the Coin Trader Studios in Lakeview, right outside New Orleans. It's March Madness time, and my brother Teddy is in the studio with me. Teddy?
Yes, Victor.
He called me about 20 minutes ago, and he said, okay, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
I'm on my way. I go, wait, what?
I'm glad I did text you.
He's on his way.
I'm on his way. I'm on my way. I'm here.
Because we're going to talk to some dude that's going to talk us into being pro-Israel, which we already are.
Yeah, but we're
We
going to
already
talk
are
about
pro-Israel.
We are pro-Israel. I mean, but
And so all I got to
we'll
do...
talk about his film.
I got to stop everything I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay?
Which probably wasn't much. Come on.
Everything I'm doing, which is March Madness on 4 different screens.
Yeah.
I got Northwestern and Wisconsin playing. I just watched Duke. I just watched Duke beat Georgia Tech and BYU or Iowa State. They got the SEC tournament going on in Nashville. They got the ACC tournament going on in Charlotte. They got the Big Ten tournament going on in Indianapolis.
Okay, thanks for the update.
It's all this college basketball. I get no work done. I'm a terrible husband. I'm an awful father. I'm a terrible grandfather. The grandkids come over, want to jump in my lap, make memories. And what do I say?
Forget about it.
I say, go away.
And it's not even March Madness. It's not even March Madness, though.
It's the tournaments.
But it's not part of the tournament, is it?
It's the tournaments.
It's not the 64.
No, but you can still play your way into the
the
big dance.
But I'm saying technically, if you're going to bet on the tournament, it doesn't count.
I'm not that anymore. It's football.
I bet you don't bet.
Could be. It's all
I
over the road
believe
podcast.
you.
Hey, thanks for joining us.
You.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us out there. St. Patrick's Day on Old Metairie Road. We ran Argus. We did the whole parade on YouTube.
Yeah.
Huge response. Great up. Unbelievable. I would say this. I think we were the only ones really broadcasting that bucket list event, rather, in Metairie, Louisiana, the St. Patrick's Day parade. And because of the cancellation of the Mardi Gras Day parades in Metairie.
Was it Mardi Gras Day or Monday?
It was Mardi Gras Day.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, because of the winds.
Yeah.
Remember, they rolled in town, they rolled Zulu and Rex, which they got to do. I mean, an atomic bomb would have to hit for those two not to roll.
They did them early, I guess.
Yeah, they had Zulu at 6:30, and they rolled. And then those floats are moving fast. Yeah. They're going like 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And so they canceled Argus. We did Argus right before this. It was just a glorious event. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Lon and Pike and everybody out there at Felipe's for
such nice people.
Taking good care of us.
They always do.
Yes, we did. Paul Gregory, our tech man, was there and kept us online and on.
He's kind of a strange guy.
You say, well, all those tech guys are strange.
And I shouldn't say that, but he's a smart guy.
Well, he's just like, what's his name?
Craig.
The Tesla guy. What's his name? What's his name again? What's
Elon.
that guy? Elon. He's like Elon. All these guys are the same.
Did you see when Elon was in Donald's office, which is the Oval Office?
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah, and did you see when he had his 4-year-old kid?
Picking his nose and wiping it on
his
the desk.
nose. Okay, now I missed that part.
Oh, no,
I'll be honest.
it.
And I was listening to your favorite local radio talk show host, Scoot.
Scoot, yeah.
Yeah, and he was talking about that. I'm like, what is this making that up? Because Scoot is not a fan of Trump, right? Although he says, I don't dislike Donald, But he's always talking down about him. And he says about the desk was sent off to get refurbished.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that because Donald is a germaphobe. And he didn't like those boogers.
Well, I heard
little Musk boogers all over his desk.
I heard that Scoot said that was a waste of some good boogers.
Yeah.
I don't know, waste a good booger.
Well, I finally got my interview. Like, it was a lifelong goal of mine or something, but I got my interview with Scoot.
You did?
At the Mad Hatter Parade.
Oh, good. You did?
Remember? Yeah.
Did we play it on the show?
We didn't play it on the show.
Why not?
It
was a bad interview?
It's not worthy. But it was on social media because he was up on the float. He was like 15 feet up, and you can hear him, but you had the strain to hear him, and and all that kind of business.
Okay, well, look, don't go away on this very show.
Yeah.
We got Brian Sanders coming on.
Don't tell me not to
don't
go
away because you were thinking about leaving.
Anywhere.
You were thinking about leaving. Don't go away because Brian Sanders is on. Brian Sanders is a film producer. He's out of Dallas. He's got this new, I guess it's a documentary film.
It's a documentary, yeah.
That's out. That's called Why We Should Support Israel. A lot of misconceptions about Israel. By the way, there's over 4 million podcasts now, is what it is.
Yeah, I heard the pod father. You know who that is, huh? Adam Curry, the old MTV jock.
Yes, I used to work with Adam.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I did. Entertainment Radio. We had
that's the countdown.
Yes, we had a countdown show.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was many years ago.
Many years ago.
Yes. Well, Adam has gotten saved. I don't know if you knew this. In the last maybe 3 or 4 years.
Saved? You mean he gave his life to Jesus Christ guy? Okay,
yes, he's become a Christian. He's been on Joe Rogan a few times with his testimony. And Joe Rogan's like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Adam was always a nice, clean-cut guy, though.
Yeah.
He was always clean-cut.
Real well-spoken. Yeah. He's, anyways, he was on there a couple weeks ago, and he stated that there was 4, I want to get this right, I believe it was 4 million podcasts.
It could be billion. It could be.
I don't think it's billions. But
and now Michelle has one with her light and the loafer brother.
Oh,
Michelle Obama.
Yeah,
with her sissy brother. The guy's a sissy. There's no doubt about it. He's a light and the loafer guy.
Yeah.
Okay, he's very flamboyant. Which, hey, whatever.
I think we're getting more listens than Michelle. From what I heard somebody state. Yeah.
Well, just the fact that she has one makes me want to stop this one.
It does.
It does. It makes me. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Now I'm in the category of Michelle Obamas and all. I mean, I don't even want to. If you want to save this podcast, you better let me know because I'm about ready to trash this freaking thing. I am. I'm about ready to trash it. Anybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it.
Everybody's got a podcast.
I don't want to do it anymore.
When we started, or at least close to the beginning,
there were 10. There were only 10.
Maybe so. Maybe a few more than 10. There was maybe, I want to say a couple 100,000.
It was 10.
But even now, what did I say? There was 4
times
million.
Changed, Ted.
But there's only 400,000 of the podcasts that are out
4
there.
Million.
Of the 4 million that actually update once or twice every other month or so.
We do once a week.
We do once a week. I want to pat ourselves on the back for that.
You want to do that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to hear a little applause. The studio audience here at Coin Trader Studios.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one a week. I mean, we're like, at the last minute, we're kind of scrambling.
Well, it depends on the people share the show.
Maybe I shouldn't say that, but I mean, it is true.
It all depends on people share the show. Like if you're a listener of the show, follower.
I'm saying we're looking like for content, even though there's an overabundance of content, out there.
There is.
We try to center it on New Orleans, but I think people are tired.
We don't center it around New Orleans. We just do it in the New Orleans way.
We're supposed to.
Yes, we do. That's what we do. Who knows what we do?
We're in New Orleans.
All right, his name's Brian Sanders. He's a pretty cool cat. We're going to come right back with him, a little interview with him. I think you'll enjoy it, so do not move, okay? Be right back. All the podcast.
I'll stick around. I'll stay.
For the podcast studios in Lakeview. The election's over.
Yes, it is.
Election's over. A lot of people were freaking out because the election. What do I do with my money? How do I invest? The stock market was going crazy the whole time. Gold up to $2,800 an ounce. So now that the election is over, what are you thinking? You're thinking, well, everything's cool now. I don't need gold. Oh, no. Not so fast, my friend.
Hang on.
Not so fast, my friend. Do you know gold is the only real money? Do you know gold is your only protection against a monetary collapse, like the dollar just going bye-bye? Listen, we're not out of the woods yet. This is a very, very anything can happen world. So what do you do? How do you protect your money? Well, you get something tangible, Ted. You don't sock your money in the bank. You don't sock your money in the sock. You put it into something hard, and that's gold. And the people at Coin Trader Inc. can help you. All you got to do is call them, tell them the king of all podcasting sent you. Guess what? They're going to give you some free silver. Ooh, absolutely free. They call it minding your money. Look, they've been in business for over 30 years. They're the best in the business. They sponsored this podcast. Give them a call. Coin Trader Inc. Mind your money. And tell them the king of all podcasting sent you.
There's no doubt that God's hand is upon this nation. And what a gifted nation. Look at the number of doctors and those in the medical field that are bringing solutions to serious problems, being able to solve diseases that are terminal and turn them around. We're seeing devices that are being produced that each and every one of us use every day, and there are Israeli patents involved in those devices. This nation is prospering against all odds. And the more the world turns against Israel, the more Israel seems to be blessed. That's a work of God himself. He is in love with this people, and he is blessing them.
Hello?
Hey, Brian.
Is this Ted?
How are you today, Brian? How are you?
Good. I guess I just forgot about our call.
I know
We're
you're
not live right now, are we?
Yes, we are. We're always live.
Well, nothing's live.
Oh, awesome.
Not
I thought you
live.
got a text in advance.
Well, I did just text you, say we're calling you, but we are.
Sorry.
We're recorded live. Put it that way, I guess. And let me introduce you
Okay.
to the host of the show, commonly referred to as the king of all podcasting,
Oh, you're
Victor
too
Del
kind. You're too
Giorno.
kind. Thank you.
How was that?
Thank you.
Hey,
Brian
Victor,
Sanders.
how are you?
I'm good, Brian. He's Brian Sanders. He's there. And you're in Dallas, Brian? Is that what you're at? You're in Dallas?
I am. I'm in Dallas. Yep.
We're going to be there pretty soon for the big Dude Perfect show. Dude
Yeah, cool.
Are you into Dude Perfect?
My kids are.
Of
yeah,
course they are.
They're impressive. Yeah.
We're going
Matter
there?
of fact,
Yeah.
Me and you?
I saw them about a year ago in a local Kroger or Walmart. It was a Walmart
Yeah.
doing some kind of promotional shoot, and I think everybody knows who they are. They're very impressive.
It's very impressive. It's a good God show. It's a good God show.
Yeah.
Brian Sanders is a former CBN News contributor. He's a producer. He's a filmmaker, and he's got this new film out. Now, I understand that, Brian, you can stream it right now. Where are some of the platforms? You can tell us a little bit about it. It's called Why We Should Stand with Israel, correct?
That's called Why Stand with Israel.
Okay.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Victor and Ted, and having me on your show. Great honor. Really appreciate it. And so it's a film designed to educate and inspire the global church to live out its biblical responsibility to stand with Israel. And there's a lot of promises in God's word that prove that and back that up. And we were able to, by the grace of God, to internationally release our film after working on it for about 8.5 years. Last year on May 14th, on Israel's 76th birthday. And so it's, the Lord's really using it to open the eyes in the church to stand more with his covenantal people and land he made an everlasting covenant with.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to convince us because we're a couple Christians here. We, of course, stand with Israel and support
Amen.
Israel. Yeah, exactly. Now, I guess you're pretty happy about the president we have right now who's, Donald Trump, who supports Israel all the way, 100%, it seems like, right?
Yeah, but I don't mean to interrupt you, Ted, but when I knew we were going to have you on, Brian, I was going to ask you this question because I thought it was a profound question. This is the way I believe. I think that up until Donald Trump's first term, and of course this term, which I believe is way more powerful than it would have been if he'd have won in 2020, okay? I think he's probably the only president, in my knowledge, that is really pro-Israel. That he's just not putting on the face or just not doing what he needs to do, doing just enough. You know what I mean? I think he's got a good grasp on how the best way to support Israel is let Israel make the decisions and we just support them. But I really feel this president's 100% behind it, where I don't think anyone has ever been, not even Reagan.
Well, he's probably one of the stronger or more influential presidents that stand with as we've seen in a long time. Although in history, President Harry Truman was integral in Israel becoming a state and actually helped fulfilling prophecy of Isaiah 66:8, can a nation be born again on one day? And he was very integral in it. But Trump, it's very well known, and we've seen the proof in the pudding and how much he loves and supports Israel like we haven't seen before in a long time. And
I wasn't aware of that Harry Truman thing. I wasn't aware of that.
He was integral. He was integral in that. If you look back in history, and how Meir Golda, the fourth prime minister of Israel, reached out to him, and even his Jewish friend Eddie Jacobson, that it was one of his business partners before he became president, before he got into politics, was integral in sharing his heart for Israel and standing with the Jewish people. And so, so Harry S. Truman, our former president, he was definitely a big supporter of Israel. But I don't know to the likes of, President Trump, and all that he has done with the Abraham Accords and, everything he's even doing today. But again, even as believers, as Christians, we got to continue to pray for our president and for our nation, because in Joel 3:2, it says, do not divide God's land. Do not divide my land. This is the Lord speaking through the prophet Joel. And so when we hear things that we're going to control or take over Gaza, we got to be careful. It's not our land to take over or control. You know what I'm saying? We can stand with them, we can defend them, and we can support them, not just biblically and but also with our money and support. But we have to be mindful of what God said. This is actually His land that He's given to the Jewish people in a deed. And so it's His at the end of the day.
Okay, do this for us, because a lot of people don't understand this. Mm-hmm. Set up the current climate the way it is now on, where are we, March 13th, 2025, with Gaza and Palestine and what's going on there in the property lines, and what do the Palestinians want? What do the Israel want? What does Israel want? Is this actually them trying to divide God's land, as you put it?
Let's, in the short answer, let me, what's going on in Gaza and what Israel wants to bring all of its hostages home. And they want to have, great security, and they don't want to have to deal with another October 7th. And, with having a great partner and friend and ally like the United States, who has always stood with Israel, maybe not so much in former President Obama and Biden's term. Biden was helping Israel, but he's also given more to Israel's enemies. So is that really truly being a good friend of Israel? But so to your point, to answer that question, what is Israel? Israel wants peace. Israel wants their hostages home, and they want to rid Hamas from the face of the earth, because they do not want another attack like this, like they dealt with barbarically and horrifically. We haven't seen an attack like this on God's people and land since the Holocaust. And so, I think, the United States with President Trump, yes, we want to support Israel. We want to defend them. We want to, even support them militarily. But, President Trump has made it clear that he doesn't want to get into any wars. But the fact is, again, looking back at what they said on February 4th, that press conference at the White House, that we're here to stand with Israel. But, President Trump did say that we will take over Gaza and we will own it. And, I love his heart for Israel, but that's going against God's word. We don't own it. It doesn't belong to us. It's God's land. He gave it to his people. So we just got to pray that doesn't happen.
Who would want to live there now?
It's all ripped
up. What's that?
Who would want to live there now? And why would anybody, the people of Gaza or anybody, be against a crew going in there and rebuilding everything?
Well, you hear a lot of reports on a majority of Gazans want to leave. They want to start off afresh, start a new place, a new life. But again, there are a lot of Gazans that are mixed in and associated with Hamas. And there's even reports that you can't even tell who's Hamas and the Gazans, the way they treat Israelis, especially those that are still held hostage. And those that have been set free, they're even reporting they've been abused, and not just from Hamas, but it's the same with the Gazan people. So, they're one and the same possibly, based because of all the infiltration and the indoctrination and you have to remember, Gazans, they voted in Hamas, as their leadership. And unfortunately, this is what they're dealing with right now. But, I would love to see them set free. And, but, if they have the same beliefs, that same indoctrination where they're teaching the youth to kill Jews and to annihilate Israel and wipe them out and push them out to the sea, I mean, what's the difference of them and Hamas and their other enemies? You know what I'm saying? So what we have to do as Christians and believers, we just got to pray for God's will. Again, this is his land. He loves the Gazans, the Jewish people, the nation of Israel, obviously with all the covenants he's made with them. But we have to be praying for, God's righteous will in all of this. And I just pray that our nation does the right thing on how we should support Israel, and remember what the scriptures say about taking God's land.
Well, that sounds like a good plan. I mean, the only thing that really ever works is prayer.
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about. Are you familiar with some of the defense systems that Israel has, and what we're talking about doing here in the U.S. as far as kind of like a a missile defense system. Are you pretty up to date on that kind of stuff?
I wouldn't say I'm a subject matter expert, but I am aware of Israel's amazing Iron Dome, the Raphael and David Sling, and their other arrow defense system. It's top notch. I mean, it's Israel's ingenuity and the technology coming out of there. It's a reason why they're called a startup nation, and we see God's hand on His people land with all the marvels coming out of there. To answer your question, it seems like what we're hearing in the news that Trump wants to have our own, Iron Dome defense system as well.
Yeah, I mean,
it's been very effective for Israel, especially not only dealing with the rockets that were coming out of Lebanon from Hezbollah when they were in power, that as we all know that Israel decimated, but it also protected them against Iran when they attacked them last year.
Well,
so
of course,
I think it would be a great thing to have for our nation to have something like that in place.
Of course, God is the idea man. He comes up with all the good ideas.
That's right.
Okay, and defense.
Absolutely, he's the true Iron Dome for that.
Right. Defense systems come from somewhere, and they come from him. We're going to talk more about that and other things with our guest today, Brian Sanders. When All Over the Road, the podcast continues. We'll be right back. Okay, hold on.
$504-603-6753. You know what that is?
Lit pizza?
No. 504-603-6753.
Oh, it's our listener line, 24 hours.
That's it.
Yes.
We want to hear from you. You podcast listener, you.
That's right.
What's on your mind?
What's on your mind?
You got a question for Vic. Got a question for me. You got a comment. You got something to say. A critique of the show.
Yes.
Hey.
Yes.
I can't say we want to hear negatives, but why not?
And we'll put it in the show, and you'll be a big star, and people will love you.
504-603-67. You know the rest?
No.
King of all podcasting.
No, I don't.
6753.
God bless you. Call the line.
God bless you.
God said to Abram right at the beginning, I'm going to make a nation out of you. And whoever blesses you in that nation, I'm going to bless. Whoever doesn't, I'm going to curse, going to oppose.
All right, we're back with Brian Sanders here. It's Ted Semper and myself, Victor Del Giorno. This is All Over the Road podcast. Why Stand with Israel is the name of his documentary film. Now, where can we get a good little look at that, a good peek at that, Brian?
Thanks for asking. They can simply just go to our website, whystandwithisrael.com. We have our film available on DVD for those in North America and some parts of South America as well. But we have digital downloads too, and we have it translated in several languages. We have it translated in Romanian, Indonesian, Spanish, Farsi, Portuguese, Brazil, and as soon to be Russian, Chinese Mandarin, and Norwegian and Korean. So
wow.
Our hardest to get this message into the global church, because I believe not only that the Bible is for everyone, but for the global church who is kind of riding the fence on where they stand with Israel. I don't just say that because this is my beliefs. We actually have a survey in our film that Lifeway Christian Research blessed us with. And it shows, Victor and Ted, how much the majority of the church is riding the fence on where they stand with Israel. And you kind of wonder, even today in 2025, how can this possibly be?
What was the numbers? What were the numbers?
The numbers you're looking at, 63% say that they don't believe that the promised land belongs to the Jewish people. At 32%, they have no strong views about the state of Israel. And check this out. This figure is staggering. 96% have not been influenced by their church about Israel. Is that mind-boggling? This is the only place that Father God sent His only Son to, and where He's coming back. And yet we have these prevalent numbers that are staggering, these percentages. And again, this is a film. It's not to condemn or slam the church in any way. We're really just trying to educate and inspire them to live out their biblical responsibility to stand with the people and land that God made an everlasting covenant with. And, when we do that, Genesis 12:3 says we'll be blessed, right?
Yep.
Yeah, well, if you look back in history, this is nothing new. When the Son of God walked this earth, God's people turned their back on him. So this is not surprising. You know. So, you know,
well, why do you think that is, Brian? I mean, is it because the churches just aren't preaching it? It's because there's so much negative news that, you know, on our,
I think the people don't take the Bible literally. They just don't take the Bible literally. Yeah. They don't.
Right.
I agree with that, but there's also an erroneous teaching that has been in the church for centuries, and it's called replacement theology. And replacement theology is this notion that the church believes that God replaced his covenantal people and land with the church. Now, that couldn't be any further from God's word, the truth of his character and who he is. Numbers 23:19 is abundantly clear that God is not a man that should lie or change his mind. If he made a covenant with somebody and a nation, that's just not for a time period. It's eternal. Yeah. It's everlasting.
That's good.
And so I believe that is a major reason. And I also believe there's still anti-Semitism within the church.
Yeah.
And
That's
I mean, and we unfortunately we kind of still see that today. We even saw how silent the church was after October 7th. Look, the church was silent during the Holocaust, but even after October 7th, for the people and land we have been grafted in, according to what the Apostle Paul says in Romans 11, that we have been grafted into the family of God with our Jewish brothers and sisters in the land of Israel, and yet we are still silent. Look, a family member doesn't turn a blind eye, whereas just remain silent. One for a family member that has been persecuted, barbarically or horrifically attacked, like we saw on October 7th. A family member stands up. They have a voice. They use their voice for those that don't have a voice, and they stand with them through thick and thin. We didn't really get that after October 7th. And we're just trying to raise this awareness and just share with the church why God chose his beloved people and land to be a light unto the nations, to where he sent his only son to, and where he's coming back. And we want to remind them that Jesus, who their savior is, he was fully Jewish. You know, his last name wasn't Christ. It's just the title. And, you know, his Hebraic equivalent is the Messiah, which means the anointed one. He's the Holy One of Israel. Well, so we say we love God, we love his word, and we love Jesus. We should love the people whom he sent his son to. We should love his brothers and sisters, his family, his neighbors who he came to. And so that's what we're trying to do. We would just want to see that the bride of Christ stand with God's first betrothed bride, and that's the Jewish people in the nation of Israel.
Yeah, it'd be great to get this word out to all the churches. I don't know how you're going to go about doing that. I guess you're doing it with this film and you're doing certain things. You know, October 7th was obviously was a horrific day. And I think it was a result, and I don't want to make this too political, but it was Biden. You know, Biden played every side of the fence. Biden,
he did.
I mean, there wasn't anybody. He gave money to the Taliban. He gave money to Antifa. He gave money to Hamas. He played every side of the fence. And I think when that thing happened, it was just a perfect storm for something like that to happen, because we had this limp-wristed leader. Because this whole world goes like this country goes. You know, this whole country leads everything. And that's what Trump has taken advantage of. And that's what any president that should ever had this position should have been taken advantage of. And I just think, you know, to get it out to the local churches, of course, you said it with your own words. I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal, to get this in front of the local churches so that people know what's really going on there, what God says, and that they believe, you know, the God-breathed word of the Bible. Well, then they need to stand this way. It's just that simple. But you know what? People are ignorant. They really are.
Yeah, and I think, well, I've seen Brian on social media. You are going out and you're doing presentations at churches and trying to get the film in front of people and stuff like that, right?
We are. We actually had a world premiere in Jerusalem last year, and that was really an answered prayer when God told me to make this film 8.5. Well, now it's not 9 to 9.5 years ago. Since we released it, but when he told me to do it, he said, you will have a world premiere in Jerusalem. Now, you can't make this stuff. He did it effortlessly, and I knew only he could do that. And we were able to do that and have a world premiere there, which Jerusalem is also known as the city of God and the city of the great king. I mean, who's the great king? That's Yeshua, Jesus. We also had a Spanish world premiere in Bogota, Colombia at the end of January. We're working on having a Portuguese world premiere in Brazil, hopefully in the next month or two. We've had our film screened in like 40 cities in 7 different nations. So we're trying our best to get this into the global church, because the bride of Christ truly needs to be standing with God's first betrothed bride, the Jewish people in the nation of Israel, now more than ever. We see that the church is still silent. There's still anti-Semitism in the church. And there's, unfortunately, this replacement theology that we talked about. And we have to remember that this is the place that Jesus went to. And he says, I come to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He didn't say the lost sheep of the house of Palestine, not the lost sheep of the house of America or Europe or Rome, the Vatican. He said the lost sheep of the house of Israel. This is whom he was sent to. And he also said that salvation comes from the Jews. He was talking about himself because he was 100% fully Jewish. He still is. And when he comes back, he's still going to be Jewish. And so we have to understand our Christian roots are based on through Judaism and what Yeshua taught. And, you see the heart of God in that throughout the scriptures and the covenant he made with them. So why did he choose this nation incomparable in size to the state of New Jersey? Why? And we answered that in our film. So that's just a little teaser that I hope your audience will want to know. And we cover it biblically, historically, and geopolitically. Because if you don't believe God gave the Jewish people the nation of Israel, their own land, what happened in history? What happened at the Balfour Declaration? What happened at the British Mandate of Palestine? Or better yet, what happened at the UN Partition Plan on November 29th, 1947, where all the nations came together and casted a vote? 33 were in favor of giving the Jewish people their own national homeland. 13 said no, and 10 abstained. And then we see what's going on geopolitically today. And, we have a role to play.
This is God's land. This is probably the only country that has a deed signed by God where he gave it to a specific people group and put them in a land for one reason, and that is to bless the entire world.
Not only was it just technically and visually incredible, it was very impactful for me, and I know there's a couple times I was just getting emotional thinking about the Jewish people. And I think the thing that really stood out for me is the film gave practical ways for us as a church, me personally and us as a church, what we can do to stand with Israel with prayer, with giving, and so
whether you're a pastor, it doesn't matter who you are, but especially pastors, I just like to say you need to see this, you need to show it to your people. There's a background here, a biblical background, but a background scripturally, but people also that really have a heart for Israel to help explain why we need to stand with Israel.
This film has done just a fabulous job of giving an overview of why we should be standing with Israel. I know that I want my county, my community, my state, and my nation to be one of the sheep nations.
I encourage everyone to get a copy of it so they could watch it over and over again. It was great seeing it on a big screen, but when you could go home and you could study the film, that makes all the difference in the world.
If you want to really know what's going on right now and you want to see how it applies to your life, how it applies to the Bible, to your faith, and the importance of standing with Israel today, I would highly recommend that you go and see Why Stand with Israel.
Why Stand with Israel is the name of his documentary film. Now, where can we get a good little look at that, a good peek at that, Brian?
Thanks for asking. They can simply just go to our website, whystandwithisrael.com. We have our film available on DVD for those in North America and some parts of South America as well, but we have digital downloads too.
This is Teddy, the little Teddy. Thanks for listening to my granddaddy's podcast.
Come on, Coin Trader Studios, we're bringing it live. And who am I? I go by the name of Darkest Night. And Jada Hoyos is the one who brings a sick beat, to which we're getting pumped for topics this week. Cause I need to grab my grape soda and take a sip while I turn it over to Katie, Nick, Ted, and Vic. It's all over. We're all over the road. We got a brand new show, so just lo and behold, from the bayou to the cities to the birds to the swamps, you better know what time it is when you're hearing that.
All Over the Road New Orleans is brought to you by CoinTrader Inc. For real-time prices on gold, silver, palladium, and platinum 24/7, go to goldpricesnow.com. That's goldpricesnow.com.